We think that if we don't accomplish something, that we're not valuable. We don't stop and say that who I am is valuable because I exist. And that's all I need to know that I'm worthy. That my worth doesn't come from how well I do, but we send our kids off to school and we teach them, don't we? I'd never ask my kids for their report card. It's just never been a big deal to me whatsoever. And I've often told the story so many times of when I was living in the orphanage in Mount Clemens, and I came home from school, and I asked Mrs. Scarf, the lady that we lived with, what's a scurvy elephant? And she said, where did you hear that? I said, well, I heard Mrs. Poole, my third grade teacher, telling the principal that Wayne Dyer was in her classroom and that he was a scurvy elephant. And so she said, no, I've never heard of that. She got on the telephone and called the principal. The principal said, oh, that's Wayne. He gets everything mixed up. She didn't say that he was a scurvy elephant in her classroom. She said that he was a disturbing element in her classroom. And my great teacher, one of the great teachers of my life, Abraham Maslow, used to say that if you really want to reach self-actualization, you have to learn, first and foremost, to become independent of the good opinion of other people. To become independent of it, and not run your life on the basis of what other people have told you that you should be doing. E. Cummings, the great American poet with all lowercase letters, remember? To be nobody but yourself in a world which is doing its best night and day to make you just like everybody else means to fight the greatest battle there is to fight and never stop fighting. I don't use the word fighting, but I suggest to you that, and I wrote this out in here, ego training continues into adulthood, often eradicating any self-concept based on our divinity as a piece of God who came from non-doing and is headed back to non-doing. Ego training contributes to a self-concept that makes us shrivel into a feeling of insignificance at our meager portfolio in contrast to those who've achieved more. The truth is, we don't have to do a thing in order to validate ourselves as worthy and valuable. Had we done nothing but just be godlike, we'd fulfill our own dharma. Ironically, we'd most likely have created a larger and even more impressive resume had you allowed yourself to just be. You are not a human doing, you are a human being. And being means not identifying yourself on the basis of what you do or what you accomplish. The great irony of what I'm speaking about here is that when you get to this place that I'm speaking about, this place of non-doing, which most of our egos can hardly even comprehend because we've been so saturated with the belief system that if you don't do and accomplish and accumulate, then you're not valuable. So it's hard for us to imagine, how do you do without struggling, without striving, without working so hard? But just ask any great artist how they do it. You know, Picasso said that when I enter my studio to paint, he said, I leave my body at the door before I enter, the way the Muslims leave their shoes when they enter the mosque. And I just allow my spirit to be there. This talk that I'm giving to you right now is a non-doing talk. I don't know what I'm going to be saying 5 minutes from now or 3 hours from now, any more than the ball that you throw in the air has any idea of where it's headed. It just is. And that place is not a place of irresponsibility and not being respectable. Ironically, it's a place of great accomplishment. My most joyous moments in writing are when I'm not struggling, when I'm not trying, when I've let go, In the recovery movement, every one of you know what we say, don't you? Let go and what? Let God. Just allow the highest part of you to take over and become at peace with that.
There is a stillness in you that cannot be disturbed, a place untouched by fear, unshaken by chaos, and immune to the noise of the world. It has no name, yet it knows everything. It has no shape, yet it holds the shape of your peace. It is not your mind, for your mind is loud. It is not your emotions, for your emotions are waves. It is not your body, for the body withers and bends to time. It is the part of you that watches quietly, lovingly, unmoved. And in that watching, there is power. We spend most of our lives reacting to what was said, to what wasn't said, to the look someone gave, to the news flashing across our screens, to the stories we carry like old, worn clothes, too heavy to wear, but too familiar to take off. We live at the mercy of our interpretations, our wounds, our replays of the past, and projections of the future. We live, but we do not watch. We act, but we do not see. To watch is not to detach from life, it is to arrive fully in it. It is to stop being dragged by the stream of every emotion and every judgment. It is to sit at the edge of the river and say, there it is again, the fear, the anger, the memory, the story, and then let it flow. The ego is a brilliant but frantic storyteller. It cannot live in the present moment because the present moment exposes its illusions. It thrives on reaction because it feeds on control. The ego needs your agreement. It needs your reactivity to survive. But your soul does not need to prove itself. It simply is. It observes without trying to fix. It accepts without needing to justify. It loves without asking to be loved back. Being the watcher is not an escape, it is the return. When you become the watcher, you are no longer the puppet of your past. You are no longer the hostage of your triggers. You begin to see that the anger is not you, it is an energy that passes through. The grief is not you, it is a wave that visits, not a house you must live in. The fear is not you, it is a voice, not your truth. There is a sacred gap between stimulus and response. And in that gap is where you reclaim your life. That gap is where the watcher lives. You are not your reactions. You are the awareness beneath them. You are not your thoughts. You are the spaciousness that notices them arise and fall. You are not the chaos. You are the calm watching the chaos. And when you remember this, you become free. Freedom doesn't come when the world is silent. It comes when you can hear the noise and choose not to be it. It comes when you can feel the heat of anger and not throw it. When you can taste the sting of offense and not become offended. When you can sit in the storm of opinion and not get swept away by any of it. There is no greater strength than presence. To be present is to live beyond reaction. It is to let go of the idea that everything demands your emotional involvement. It is to allow people to be who they are without needing to correct them. It is to hear a criticism and not make it your identity. It is to receive praise and not build your worth upon it. Presence is not passive. It is alert, grounded, alive. The watcher is not distant. The watcher is compassionate. It sees clearly because it does not cling. It understands deeply because it listens without defense. It acts with power because it does not act from fear. You see, when you become the watcher, life softens. Not because life changes, but because you do. The same situations arise, but they no longer own you. The same people trigger the same old patterns, but now you recognize them as patterns, not as truth. You stop bleeding into every moment. You stop needing everything to validate your sense of self. You return to your inner sanctuary, the place where your soul sits with open hands and a quiet smile, knowing that all things are passing clouds. You cannot stop the world from shouting, but you can stop yourself from echoing it. Buddha once said, "You will not be punished for your anger, you will be punished by your anger." And how often we let our own reactivity become the very suffering we try to avoid. We mistake reaction for power, but reaction is bondage. Reaction is the ego's way of staying alive. True power is in the pause. True power is in the breath that says, "I see you, emotion, but I do not belong to you." The watcher doesn't suppress, it doesn't deny, it simply sees, and in seeing, it liberates. Watch yourself when you're offended. Who is it that feels so injured? Is it your soul, or is it an identity you've built, now threatened by someone else's opinion? Watch your defensiveness. Who is it defending? The truth needs no defense. The ego, however, is always on guard. Watch your craving for validation. Who is it that wants to be seen? The infinite spirit within you is already seen. It is seen by the entire universe. There is nothing you need to prove. Nothing you need to fix to be enough. Nothing you need to hold on to be safe. The watcher knows this. The reactor forgets. Let your breath be your teacher. When it quickens, when it shortens, when it tightens, that is the moment to return. That is the moment to step out of the role and back into the witness. Each inhale is a choice. Each exhale is a letting go. The more you breathe consciously, the more you become aware. And awareness is the birthplace of all transformation. When you are the watcher, you stop needing life to behave the way you want it to. You stop arguing with reality. You stop insisting that people be different to make you happy. You stop controlling what was never yours to control. And in this surrender, you find peace not as an achievement, but as your original nature. Peace is not something you chase. Peace is what remains when you stop reacting. So many of us live on the edge of offense. We're ready to be hurt, ready to be insulted, ready to be outraged. We've trained ourselves to scan for threat, not physical threat, but psychological threat. Someone disagrees with us and we feel erased. Someone rejects us and we feel unworthy. But what if none of it was personal? What if every offense is an invitation to awaken? You are not what others say to you. You are what you choose to hear. Let people misunderstand you. Let them mislabel you. Let them walk away if they must. The watcher does not flinch. The watcher knows that the truth doesn't need to chase anything. The truth just is. And if someone cannot see you, that does not make you invisible. If someone rejects you, that does not make you invalid. You are not here to be understood. You are here to understand. The moment you stop needing to react, you begin to live. You begin to notice the small joys, the way the sunlight touches the leaves, the pause between two heartbeats, the sacred silence after a deep breath. These are the spaces where the divine speaks, but you must be still enough to hear. And stillness does not mean inactivity. Stillness is presence. It is clarity. It is the quiet power of a soul unbothered by the noise. You have nothing to defend, no argument to win, no ego to preserve. You have only the opportunity in every moment to return to the watcher within. So next time you feel the rise of reaction, pause, breathe, watch. You are not the storm. You are the sky. The sky does not tremble when clouds pass through it. It does not cling to the rain or resist the lightning. It allows, it witnesses, it remains, and so must you. Your true self, the eternal witness, has never been broken, never been threatened, never been less than whole. It is only the ego that flinches, that crumbles, that begs for validation in the eyes of others. The soul simply watches and waits, knowing the truth is never in the noise. Every time you choose to observe rather than react, you are retraining your consciousness. You are shifting the gravity of your identity from the external to the internal, from fear to love, from protection to presence. You become like the ocean, watching its own waves rise and fall, but never mistaking the waves for its essence. The turbulence no longer defines you. The stillness beneath becomes your home. There is a moment, brief but sacred, when awareness interrupts a habit. That moment is a portal to liberation. A chance to say, I see it, I've been here before, but this time I choose differently. And in that subtle shift, your entire life begins to change. Not because the world softens, but because you no longer harden in its presence. You stop armoring up every time someone looks at you the wrong way. You stop bracing for judgment. You begin to live unclenched, wide open, deeply rooted, and profoundly present. And isn't that what true power is? To be unshakable, not because you dominate, but because you no longer need to defend. To be calm in the midst of fire. To be kind without condition. To be aware of the storm and yet centered in your stillness. This is the life of the awakened. Not free of conflict, but free of entanglement. Not void of feeling, but void of control by those feelings. When you stop reacting, you begin seeing. You see the other person not as an enemy, but as a mirror. You see your anger not as a truth, but as a message. You see your triggers as teachers. You see life not as a series of attacks, but as a series of invitations to evolve. You begin to understand that everything that once made you flinch is here to make you free. The reactive self is a prisoner of the past. It is stitched together by old wounds, unconscious stories, and inherited beliefs. It's constantly trying to protect something, a fragile image, a constructed identity, a false sense of self. But the watcher knows there is nothing to protect because the soul is not a character. The soul cannot be injured by opinion, it cannot be destroyed by loss, it cannot be undone by time. You are not your conditioning, you are not your defense mechanisms, you are not the fight or flight impulse that flares up when things don't go your way. You are the one who sees it all. And in seeing it all, you are no longer owned by any of it. Have you ever felt the weight of a reaction coming, the anger bubbling, the heart racing, the story forming, and then you paused, you breathed, you watched, and just like that, the charge softened. That is presence. That is awakening. That is what it means to remember yourself in the heat of forgetting. It's not about never feeling triggered. It's about no longer being tricked into believing those triggers define you. It's not about being a stone cold and unfeeling. It's about being a mountain still and grounded, even as the winds howl around you. You see, the more you watch without reacting, the more you begin to trust life again. You realize that not every comment needs a comeback. Not every situation demands your opinion. Not every disagreement is a battlefield. You stop entering every interaction with armor. You stop needing the last word. You begin to understand that silence can be the loudest answer. That stillness can be the most powerful presence. And in that space, that holy space between what happened and how you choose to respond, a miracle occurs. The miracle of self-possession, of divine clarity, of peace that cannot be disturbed by anything outside of you. You no longer live from habit, you live from intention. You begin to meet life with eyes open, heart soft, and soul steady. The reactive mind is always chasing approval, chasing control, chasing an identity it can hold on to. But the watcher knows there is nothing to chase when you already are. You are not here to be everything to everyone. You are here to be fully awake in yourself. To be so deeply rooted in your presence that even if the world misreads you, misunderstands you, misjudges you, you stay true. Truth needs no audience. Presence needs no applause. The divine in you needs no permission. And so I invite you, not tomorrow, not someday, but in this very moment, to pause. Let the breath remind you of the eternal now. Let the silence return you to the sacred watcher. Let the witness within you rise. And from that space, observe. Observe your thoughts without clinging. Observe your emotions without dramatizing. Observe your life without rushing to fix, correct, or judge. This is not the end of your spiritual path. This is the beginning. Because when you become the watcher, everything changes. not by force, but by frequency. You stop vibrating at the level of the problem and begin rising into the solution. You stop looking for healing in others and start embodying it within yourself. You stop playing the role of the victim or the hero and simply become real. And in your realness, your grounded, divine, conscious presence, you begin to heal not just yourself, but everyone you touch. Not through preaching, not through trying, but simply through being. Being the space, being the peace, being the clarity in a world addicted to confusion. You are not here to be tossed around by life. You are here to be the still point, the silent flame, the breath between the chaos. And you'll know when you found this place, not because life gets easier, but because you stop collapsing in front of it. Your center becomes unshakable. Your peace becomes non-negotiable. Your love becomes unconditional. And from this space, my friend, everything becomes possible. And from this space, my friend, everything becomes possible. When you no longer live at the mercy of your reactions, you step into the rarest kind of power, the power of inner authority. Not dominance, not superiority, but sovereignty of the soul. You're no longer pulled by every emotional wind, no longer yanked into battles that aren't yours. You become a space of presence that others can feel but cannot disturb. You begin to hear the world, not just through your ears, but through your spirit. Someone may yell, and you hear their pain. Someone may judge, and you hear their fear. Someone may try to provoke, and you sense their longing for love. The watcher sees this, not to become better than anyone, but to remember none of it is about you. And what a relief that is. What a deep, cleansing sigh for the soul to know you are not responsible for the storms in other people's skies. You are only responsible for whether you bring your umbrella or your sunshine, whether you enter their storm or remain the calm that invites them into clarity. To live as the watcher is not to become indifferent, it's to become deeply compassionate without losing yourself. Compassion doesn't require you to abandon your peace. In fact, real compassion flows from peace. When you react, you join others in their suffering. But when you watch, you become the mirror that reflects something higher. You say without words, you don't have to live like that. There's another way. And when you live this way, something extraordinary happens. You begin to radiate peace. Not the kind that looks peaceful on the outside, but simmers with resentment underneath. Not the kind that avoids conflict by shrinking. No, this is the peace that walks into any room and changes its atmosphere. The peace that speaks without words. The peace that silences chaos just by being. Because when you are no longer at war with yourself, the world cannot drag you into battle. You stop arguing with reality. You stop trying to edit the universe to match your preferences. You stop needing the moment to be anything other than what it is. And in that surrender, you don't become passive, you become present. You take action, not from desperation, but from alignment. You speak, not to defend, but to express love. You listen, not to prepare your reply, but to understand with your whole being. This is how the soul moves. Gently, powerfully, without rush, and oh, how the world needs more of this. More beings who don't crumble at conflict, who don't lose themselves trying to win approval, who aren't addicted to proving they're right. The world is loud with reactions. Be the one who is quiet with understanding. Be the one who slows down when others speed up. Be the one who chooses grace when the ego demands retaliation. There is a river inside you that has never stopped flowing. Even when you were tangled in your thoughts, even when you believed the voice of fear, even when you reacted with anger, shame, or pride, that river was always there, steady, ancient, divine. It is your true nature. The watcher lives there. The soul drinks from it. And your freedom begins the moment you return to its banks. So when you feel yourself being pulled into the story, the fight, the trigger, the need to explain, the craving to be seen, pause. Let the breath return you. Let your awareness remind you. Let the watcher reclaim the moment, because life isn't about avoiding the waves, it's about learning to surf them with awareness. It's about realizing that no matter what chaos dances across the surface, the depths of who you are remain unmoved. That is your home. That is your truth. That is the part of you that has never been hurt, never been lost, never been less than divine. And when you live from that place, when your identity is rooted not in ego but in soul, then your presence becomes medicine. You don't have to fix everyone. You don't have to save the world. You don't even have to change anyone's mind. Just be what you are when you're not reacting. Light, calm, truth, stillness. That is enough. More than enough. That is the invitation you offer the world. Come sit with me in this silence and remember who you are. And if they do, beautiful. And if they don't, you continue walking, not in pride, not in bitterness, but in peace. Because the watcher walks with grace. And grace, my friend, is the only power that doesn't need to shout. The watcher walks with grace, not because it is immune to pain, but because it no longer mistakes pain for identity. It has learned the sacred art of presence, not as a performance, but as a remembrance. To watch is to love without possession, to listen without preparing to speak, to live without the weight of needing everything to be different in order to be okay. And when you live like this, when you truly become the watcher, the need to be understood falls away. You no longer plead with the world to see you, to validate you, to applaud your efforts. You know that to be seen by the divine within you is more than enough. You feel the presence of the infinite, not as something to chase, but as something that never left. Something that was always whispering beneath your reaction. You are not this storm. You are the sky. It passes through. And in this realization, you soften. You stop bracing for impact. You stop rehearsing pain. You stop living from the haunted echoes of what if and what was. You rest not in exhaustion, but in awakening. You stop trying to control what's never been yours and instead surrender to the stillness that has always been home. You forgive yourself for every time you believe the lie that you were only as worthy as your performance, only as loved as your usefulness, only as safe as your defenses. You forgive yourself for the times you reacted, for the times you fell into fear, for the times you said what your soul never meant, not because it was right, but because you are ready to be free. Forgiveness, too, is an act of watching, of saying, yes, I see the wound, but I also see who I truly am beyond it. And then something quiet but life-altering begins to happen. You stop waiting for permission to be at peace. You stop postponing joy until circumstances align. You stop bargaining with life. If this happens, then I'll feel whole. No. Wholeness is now, peace is now, God is now. Everything you've been chasing while reacting was always sitting silently in the sanctuary of your awareness. The watcher knows that time is not the answer, presence is. You don't need another year to become what your soul already is. You don't need more proof, more agreement, more applause. You need only this breath, this stillness, this radical return to the center that has never abandoned you. And this is not a theory, this is an embodiment. When you embody the watcher, your life becomes less about performance and more about presence. You start speaking less and saying more. You start needing less and feeling fuller. You begin walking through the world with a softness that doesn't ask, do you accept me? But instead radiates, I accept myself. And because you accept yourself, others feel safe to do the same in your presence. Your being becomes a sanctuary, your silence becomes sacred. You no longer react to prove your worth, you respond from the overflow of your awareness. That's how the divine speaks. Not to convince, but to awaken. Not to correct, but to reflect. You begin to realize that every trigger was a teacher, and every interruption was an initiation. That the very moments which once made you spiral were not obstacles, they were sacred doorways. Doorways leading you deeper into the witness, deeper into grace, deeper into the stillness that does not flinch, does not fight, and does not fear. And now you are ready. Not ready to achieve something, not ready to prove anything, but ready to finally live, not from the ego's urgency, but from the soul's timelessness. Ready to meet the day, not as a battle, but as a blessing. Ready to hold space instead of hold grudges. Ready to watch your thoughts pass like clouds and realize you are the sky. You always were. The world may still swirl, people may still project, but you now walk as the calm inside the center of it all. And when old reactions try to rise, because they will, you'll meet them with compassion, not condemnation. You'll greet them like old friends with fading power, saying gently, I see you, but I no longer serve you. And in that moment, you will smile, not because life is perfect, but because you have remembered who you are. You are not the fear. You are not the noise. You are not the ego's constant commentary. You are the one who watches all of it and chooses love anyway. So breathe, beloved soul. Breathe and return to this sacred moment, to this steady presence, to this watcher that does not need to win but only needs to witness. Let others shout. Let the world race. Let the noise unfold. You just keep watching. Just keep being, just keep loving, because when you are the watcher, not the reactor, you do not just change your life. You remember that you are life. And life, in its truest form, does not react. It flows. It trusts. It shines. And so do you. In the quiet moments between your breaths, there exists a stillness, a peace so profound it speaks directly to your soul. It's there, beneath the noise of the world, beneath the thoughts that swirl like leaves caught in a storm. It's in that space, that sacred moment, where everything you've ever sought is already present. You just need to breathe, to release, and to realign. You've spent so much of your life chasing approval, chasing success, chasing a sense of fulfillment that always seemed just beyond reach. You've carried burdens that weren't yours to carry. You've held on to old stories, old wounds, old beliefs about who you are. But I ask you, my friend, who are you really? Beneath the layers of conditioning, beneath the masks you've worn, beneath the roles you've played, who are you in your truest essence? The answer is simple. You are. You are the breath of life itself. You are a divine being, not confined by the limitations of the ego. The truth of who you are is vast, limitless, and timeless. It's not bound by the past, nor does it seek the future. It simply is. In the present moment, you are the eternal now. But somewhere along the way, you forgot. You forgot that you are enough. You forgot that everything you need to be whole is already inside of you. And so you looked outside yourself for answers. You searched for meaning in achievements, in possessions, in the opinions of others, but you have always been complete, even in your moments of struggle, even in your deepest pain. What if I told you that healing begins the moment you release the illusion of separation? The moment you stop identifying with the wounds of your past and instead choose to embrace the truth that you are not your pain. You are not your story. You are not your mistakes. You are not your failures. You are so much more than all of that. When you breathe, you are aligning yourself with the divine rhythm of the universe. Every inhale connects you to the life force that flows through all things. Every exhale is an opportunity to release what no longer serves you, to release the weight of regret, to release the fear of the unknown, to release the judgments you've placed upon yourself and others. In each breath, there is an invitation to surrender. Surrender is not weakness, it is strength. It is the strength to let go of the illusion of control and trust in the flow of life. Life does not need to be forced. It does not need to be controlled. It is a river, constantly moving, constantly changing, constantly evolving. The more you resist the flow, the more you suffer. But when you surrender, when you let go of the need to control, of the need to define, of the need to hold on you, find peace, you realign with the wisdom of the universe. You see, the universe is always speaking to you. It is always guiding you. It whispers to you through the stillness of your heart, through the synchronicities in your life, through the quiet nudges that lead you to the next step on your journey. But in order to hear this guidance, you must first quiet the noise within. You must release the clutter of your thoughts, the distractions of your ego, and realign yourself with your higher truth. When you realign, you remember who you truly are. You remember your power. You remember your purpose. You remember that you are a divine being capable of creating miracles in your life. You remember that you are worthy of love, of abundance, of joy, simply because you exist. You are not defined by your past, by your mistakes, or by the opinions of others. You are defined by the love that flows through you, by the light that shines from within you. But the first step to realignment is letting go. Letting go of the beliefs that tell you that you are not enough. Letting go of the fear that keeps you stuck. Letting go of the anger, the resentment, the pain that you've been holding on to. You don't need to carry that anymore. You are not meant to walk through this life weighed down by the past. You are meant to soar, breathe, release, realign. This is the mantra of your soul. This is the rhythm that will guide you home to yourself. You cannot change the past, but you can choose to release its grip on you. You cannot control the future, but you can choose to trust in the unfolding of your life. You cannot change the world overnight, but you can change your world by choosing to align with the truth of who you are. And when you align with that truth, everything begins to shift. Your relationships change, your health improves, your sense of purpose deepens. You begin to attract the opportunities, the people, and the circumstances that are in harmony with your highest good. You begin to live from a place of peace, of love, of joy, not because everything is perfect, but because you are no longer defined by external circumstances. You are defined by your inner peace. You are defined by your ability to breathe through life's challenges, to release what no longer serves you, and to realign with the infinite power that flows through you. This is the true power of surrender. It is not about giving up. It is about giving in to the flow of life. It is about trusting that you are always supported, always guided, always loved. When you release the need for perfection, you open yourself to the beauty of imperfection. When you release the need for approval, you step into your own self-approval. When you release the need for control, you find true freedom. Freedom is not something that can be given to you by someone else. It is something you must claim for yourself. It is the freedom to be yourself, to follow your heart, to live your truth. It is the freedom to let go of the stories that no longer serve you and to embrace the story that is unfolding right now. It is the freedom to live in the present moment, to be fully alive, fully awake, and fully in tune with your soul. Breathe, release, realign. Let these words be a reminder of who you are. Let them be a reminder that you have the power to transform your life at any moment. Let them be a reminder that the key to peace, to joy, to abundance, and to freedom lies not in the world around you, but within you. The moment you choose to realign with your truth, the moment you choose to release the illusions of the ego, the moment you choose to breathe deeply into the present moment, everything changes. You are not a victim of life. You are the creator of your experience. The circumstances of your life do not define you. Your response to those circumstances does. You are the architect of your own reality, and when you breathe, when you release, when you realign, you unlock the door to infinite possibilities. So I invite you now, in this very moment, to take a deep breath, to feel the life force that flows through you, to release the burdens that you've been carrying, to realign with the truth of who you are. You are a divine being, worthy of all the love, all the peace, all the joy that life has to offer. You are enough, just as you are. And as you realign with this truth, Know that everything you need to live a life of fulfillment, of purpose, of abundance is already within you. Trust yourself. Trust the process. Trust the wisdom of your soul. Breathe, release, realign, and know that you are home. And in this moment of stillness, when you surrender to the present, something extraordinary happens. You begin to feel the subtle rhythm of life, the beat of the universe that is always pulsating beneath your surface. You are not separate from this rhythm, you are part of it. Just as the ocean waves rise and fall, as the sun sets and rises, you too are part of this eternal flow. You were never meant to fight against it. You were meant to dance with it, to move in harmony with the ever-changing tides of existence. But the ego has a different idea. It whispers that you need more, that you must be somewhere else, that you must achieve, accumulate, become. It teaches you that the present moment is something to be outrun, something to be escaped. And in this escape, you lose touch with the life that is unfolding right before you. The truth is, the present moment is your sanctuary. It is the doorway to your soul. It is where you will find everything you are seeking. When you surrender to the now, you stop judging the moment as incomplete. You stop telling yourself that you will be happy when you have this, when you reach that, when the future arrives. No. You realize that peace is not found in the arrival, but in the journey. The future is not a destination, it is a projection. It is something your mind creates, and yet it does not exist until you bring it into being through your thoughts. It is fleeting, always ahead, and yet never quite here. The future will always be the thing you are moving toward, but when you come into the present, you realize you were already there all along. And in that realization, the grip of time loosens. You are no longer a prisoner of your past, nor are you enslaved by the endless pursuit of some far-off tomorrow. You stand in the truth that the only time that truly exists is this moment, this breath, this heartbeat. And within this moment, there is everything, every answer, every opportunity, every experience that you will ever need. You are not lacking. You never were. You are whole. You are complete. Right now, imagine if you could live your life as though every moment matters, not because of what it leads to, but because of what it is. Imagine if you could embrace each experience, not as a stepping stone to something better, but as a divine expression of life itself. When you do this, life begins to transform. What you see as a challenge becomes an invitation to grow. What you see as an obstacle becomes an opportunity to rise. You begin to trust in the perfection of each moment, and that trust becomes your guiding light. The ego will try to convince you that it's not enough, that something else is needed to complete you. But this is the lie that keeps you bound. In truth, there is nothing outside of you that can complete the divine being you are. The completion is already inside of you, waiting to be recognized. It is the peace that resides in your heart, the love that resides in your soul, the wisdom that resides in your essence. You are already whole, already enough. You were born into this completeness. The moment you realize this, you stop looking outside yourself for validation. You stop chasing, and you begin to simply be. To live in the now means to let go of the need to control. It means releasing the attachment to outcomes, to the need to dictate how life should unfold. When you release the need to control, you open yourself to the flow of divine guidance, to the flow of life itself. And as you do, the world around you begins to change. You no longer see it as something to conquer, but as something to experience. You begin to see yourself as the creator of your life, not the victim of circumstance. You see that you have the power in every single moment to choose how you respond to life. But it all begins with the choice to stop running. The moment you stop chasing, you are free. You are free from the tyranny of time, from the pressure of the future, from the chains of the past. You are free to be, to live, to experience life as it is meant to be experienced in its full, vibrant, expansive beauty. And in that freedom, you become the fullest expression of yourself. The future will come in its own time. The future will unfold as it is meant to, and you will be ready for it when it arrives. But you cannot chase it, because the act of chasing keeps you out of the present. It keeps you disconnected from the life you are meant to live right now. And so, I ask you again, what would happen if you chose to live fully in this moment? What would happen if you stopped looking for something more and simply embraced what is? You would find peace. You would find joy. You would find fulfillment, not in what you have or have not done, but in the realization that you are already everything you need to be. Your life is unfolding in divine perfection, and the only thing that stands between you and the life you desire is your willingness to embrace the present. The only thing that keeps you from experiencing the fullness of life is your attachment to a future that is not yet here. When you release this attachment, you allow yourself to fully inhabit the now, and in the now, you will find everything you need. Life is not about arriving at a destination. It is about living fully in each moment. When you understand this, you will stop chasing a future that does not exist and start living a life that is already here. You will begin to see the divine in every moment, in every breath, in every experience. And in this, you will find that the life you've always dreamed of is not something that happens tomorrow. It is happening right now. You are whole. You are enough. You are complete. Right now, and in this moment, you are living your life in its fullest expression. The future will come, but it will only come when you stop chasing it. When you stop looking ahead and begin to look within, you will find that everything you've ever needed was already inside of you. Embrace the present, surrender to the now, and let the future unfold in its own time. You are already everything you are meant to be. Trust this truth, live it, and experience the miracle of life that is happening right now. There comes a quiet point in your life not marked by celebration or fanfare where something subtle and sacred dawns within you, the realization that you no longer need to chase your own existence. Not because your desires have died, but because you've finally seen through them. You've outgrown the illusion that meaning is hidden in the next moment. You begin to understand that life is not meant to be pursued like a finish line. It is meant to be absorbed like a sunrise moment by glowing moment in full reverence. Beneath every moment of striving, there has always been a deeper ache, not for achievement, but for arrival. And this arrival isn't about stepping into some perfected future. It's about returning to a place within yourself that was never lost, only buried beneath noise. This is not a return to who you were. It is a return to who you've always been before you were told you had to become anything more than present. When you allow yourself to drop beneath the surface of your expectations, you begin to feel what is real. Not the projections of a better tomorrow, but the raw aliveness of what is here now, unfiltered, unpromised, unchased. In that rawness, a new intimacy with life is born. Not the kind built on plans, but the kind built on presence. Life starts to touch you differently when you stop standing outside of it, waiting for it to begin. This stillness isn't passive, it's fiercely alive. It's not an absence of motion, but a deeper kind of movement, one that doesn't rush toward the future, but flows from within the heart. You begin to see that the most important things cannot be scheduled, cannot be achieved, cannot be planned. They arrive quietly, like grace. And grace, as you'll come to know, only ever appears when you are no longer trying to summon it. In this space, where your breath meets your awareness, time dissolves. You stop measuring your life by the markers of progress and begin experiencing it by the depth of your presence. And it's here, not in some distant goal where joy becomes effortless, not because anything outside has changed, but because you've stopped resisting what is, because you've surrendered the need to be elsewhere. The deeper truth is this: your life is not waiting for you in a future accomplishment. It's waiting for you to return to the sacredness of being without commentary, without comparison. It's waiting for you to notice what you've overlooked in your pursuit, the way your chest rises when you breathe, the way light spills across your skin, the way love has always spoken in silence. You don't need a reason to be at peace. You only need to stop bargaining with the moment you're in. The now doesn't demand anything from you, only your attention. And once you give it that, fully and without resistance, the world changes shape. Not because it becomes different, but because you begin to see clearly for the first time. What you thought was mundane begins to shimmer. What you thought was missing begins to emerge. There's a wisdom in this slowing down that transcends intellect. It's the wisdom of listening, not with your ears, but with your whole being. Listening to what life has been trying to say beneath your plans, that it was never the destination that mattered, but the presence you bring to the path itself. That it was never about what you could build, but how deeply you could belong right here without delay. So let yourself land, not in the future you've been taught to idolize, but in the sacred fullness of where your feet already touch the earth. Let this moment be enough, not because you've stopped dreaming, but because you've remembered how to live. Let the soft, luminous truth of your being unfold, not as a product of striving, but as a natural expression of presence. This is not the end of the journey. It's the beginning of your true arrival. And so, as you return home to this moment, to the rhythm of your breath, to the gentle quiet that exists beneath the noise of becoming, you begin to feel the soft unraveling of all the pressure you once carried. The pressure to be somewhere else, someone else. The pressure to catch up with a life that was never ahead of you to begin with. All of it begins to melt in the presence of your awareness. Because truth, when finally remembered, doesn't demand that you strive. It invites you to surrender. Let it all soften now. The tension in your shoulders, the expectation in your mind, the anxious pull toward what's next. Let it all fall away like old skin that no longer fits the soul you're becoming. You've tried the chase, you've run after the horizon and found that it only moved farther away. Now you know your peace was never there. Your joy was never there. It was always here, breathing quietly inside you, waiting to be let in. And perhaps the most courageous thing you can do with your life is not to keep running, but to stop, to look around and finally see what has always been with you. The laughter of your child, the glow of early morning light on your kitchen counter, the way your heart breaks open, not because of pain, but because it's finally full enough to feel it all. This is what was meant for you, not a performance, not perfection, presence. You were not born to outrun your life. You were born to enter it, to taste it, to feel it, to breathe it in so deeply that your soul remembers its reason for coming here. Not to accumulate, but to awaken. Not to prove your worth, but to embody it. Not to reach a distant summit, but to sit fully inside the sacredness of now. And the miracle is, you don't have to wait another second to begin. You only have to choose. Choose to be still. Choose to breathe. Choose to open your eyes, not with judgment, but with wonder. What you see now, this moment, unembellished and real, is the canvas upon which your life is being painted. The colors have always been in your hands. You were never meant to find meaning later. You were meant to create it now, with your presence, with your love, with your full attention. The future will come. It always does. But it will come differently when you are no longer desperate for it. It will arrive not as your salvation, but as a reflection of the peace you've already chosen within. Life will meet you not where you're going, but where you truly are. And when you are here, fully here, the future unfolds not in resistance, but in harmony, not in striving, but in grace. This is the quiet revolution of awakening. To live in a world obsessed with tomorrow, yet choose to rest inside today, to hold yourself with reverence, even when there is no applause. To stop editing your life into a version that pleases others, and begin honoring the version that pleases your soul. Because the life you long for is not waiting somewhere ahead, it's waiting for your attention. And so now, return. Return to this moment with devotion. Return to your breath as if it were a prayer. Return to your inner stillness, not as an escape, but as a homecoming. Let yourself arrive without needing a reason. Let your heart unclench. Let your mind exhale. You are not behind. You are not late. You are not lost. You are here. And here is holy. Look at your life not as a project to be managed, but as a miracle to be felt. There is no final destination you must reach to be worthy. There is no gold medal for missing your own existence. The soul does not keep score, it only wants you to remember. To remember what it feels like to be alive without needing to be anywhere else. To remember that fulfillment is not hidden in time, but awakened in presence. And now you know. You know the secret the world forgot to teach you, that you do not need to chase your life. You only need to meet it. Meet it in the eyes of a stranger, in the quiet between your thoughts, in the whisper of your own heartbeat. This is where your real life lives, not someday, but today. Not elsewhere, but here. Not later, but now. Let your legacy be presence. Let your offering be attention. Let your life be a testament not to the places you've reached, but to the depth with which you truly lived. And when your time comes to leave this world, may you not regret the dreams you didn't chase, but celebrate the moments you did not miss. Don't miss your life chasing a future. Your soul is not in a hurry. Your peace is not in a plan. Your life is already happening. Be here for it. Now, in the stillness that remains, in the breath you just took, in the awareness that is expanding, even now you have arrived. You have not missed it, and you never will again. Welcome home.